signs, Russell Wilson will get him at a highly friendly team rate where they have to pay very little, if any, money at all.
So this all brings us here to today, where I announce that I am retiring. Where I announce I'm retiring from the NFL after 13 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. And today, I must admit, I am officially overrated. Vastly overrated. But it took a lot of hard work and determination getting here. I have been the underdog my entire career, and I mean this when I say it. I wish I still was. Few things gave me more joy than proving someone wrong. My mother used to tell people, and still says to this day, if you want Jason to do something, all you have to do is tell him he can't. And that was true in more ways than I care to admit. I won't forget the call I got from Andy Reid on draft day, and my father rushing into the room with tears streaming down his face as his son's dreams had just been realized. It had just been announced on TV I had been drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. And I won't forget 2 years later, that same man and my brother receiving a call and him being drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. This time, the tears streaming down both my father and I's face.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty with Jake Gutierrez on this Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. Today on the show, we'll talk to Jamie Bluma in studio. His first appearance of the baseball season at 7 o'clock. He'll be in with us for an hour. Then we will have Mark Borichter, former Chiefs wide receiver, in studio. And then Kansas head football coach Lance Leipold will be on the show with us just after 9 o'clock. We'll also play some more sound from the Jason Kelce retirement press conference. Very odd to me that we were paying so much attention to player that's retiring from the Philadelphia Eagles. But it's like I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, he's Travis Kelce's brother, but it's almost like he supported the Chiefs when he wasn't playing them, and so we have this. I don't want to say it's weird, but it is kind of weird connection that we care about a player that played his whole career in a totally different city. And we do, and I like listening to it. It was a great press conference. It's also odd that it was reported that he retired about a month ago. And so I'm really trying to wrap my head around this. I'm sure that he did. 'Cause I mean, the day after his playoff loss. And he got mad because someone else reported it. I think it was Adam Schefter that reported it. And then he's gone on this past month living his life like he absolutely was retired, with no inkling that he would return to football. I mean, there was no question, right? And so then he decided to have a press conference, which, you know what? Good for him. He had a long Hall of Fame career. He got mad because people breaking stories stole his opportunity to retire on his own terms in his own way. So he let it breathe, and then a month later he had a press conference to announce what we knew a month ago. But he took the story back. He took the headlines back with Travis Kelce and his parents and his wife in the front row. And so, I mean, that's why we care. I mean, good God, can you imagine? Can you imagine what this town's going to be like for the Travis Kelce retirement press conference? Can you imagine what I'm going to be like? Good Lord. I'll be there for that one. That's for damn sure. That's got me sad thinking about that. Hopefully that's not for a while. But it just, I don't know. It's just really interesting, an interesting dynamic, the way this town has fallen in love with not just the player, but the Kelce family. The whole Taylor Swift situation, but falling in love with his brother because of their podcast and because of his support of the Chiefs. Stop looking at me. You're making me nervous. I can feel the weight of your stare. I feel like you expect me to do something that I'm not capable of. What is it? It's like, it's like you're mean mugging me. I'm just over here trying to chat away. You're just like,
I'm trying to just be an active listener, that's all.
It's making me nervous. Like I kept looking over and he's making eye contact with me. He give me a hard stare, like you're trying to intimidate me. I don't get it. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever intimidated anyone with my stare.
Sure you have.
Not even my own kids.
You jinx sporting.
I mean, yeah, but that's not because of my stare.
How do you know? Maybe they looked up and saw you. You turned the broadcast.
He's looking at us.
And got distracted. You see what I mean, though? I mean, I think it's really cool. I think it's awesome. I'm not criticizing it at all, but it's just interesting that this town was so captivated by a press conference from a player that we already knew that was retired to announce his retirement, and he never played a minute here in Kansas City. I don't know that I've ever experienced anything like that.
That has to be unique. He's part of the family. I think that's how everybody feels, and families are weird. Family dynamics are weird. What makes you a part of somebody's family can be different sometimes.
Well, just because you're a part of a Chiefs player's family doesn't mean you're popular in Kansas City. I'm going to tell you.
No, I mean he's a part of our family.
Okay.
But family dynamics are weird too, because you're right. You can be in the family and still not a popular member of the family. I guess everybody loves the Kelces, it seems. I mean, they do have the most popular podcast in the world for sports or whatever for a reason, right? People like him.
He seems. I can never sit here, because I've learned my lesson over the years, and say that for certain, unless I know him, unless I get to know somebody, that just based on what I see on TV or radio or on the field or anything like that, that he's a great guy. He's a great person. I don't know.
Right.
There's, I think some people are, and I've been wrong. I've thought some people are a-holes, and I've been wrong, and some have been right. But he sure appears to be a great guy.
Yeah.
And an awesome person.
Yeah.
He sure appears to be somebody that you would love to have a beer with or watch a football game with, or, like you said, having your family. I thought it was beautiful the way he talked about his wife. Everything was cool. I mean, it's just so interesting to me, because when the Chiefs played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, he wasn't near this popular. I mean, the podcast has a lot to do with it, and it was a storyline. The first thing I really remember him, the first thing that really stands out to me about him is when the Eagles won the Super Bowl and he gave that Super Bowl parade speech when he was dressed as a wizard. I don't really have any recollection of Jason Kelce before then, except for, hey, he's a hell of a center, and that's
right.
Travis Kelce's brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't know this amazing personality was there. He just was a great player.
And now it's like, I mean, he could be the best studio analyst. I mean, he's better than any. I mean, who do you think is the best? We always talk about color analysts. Who's the best studio analyst?
Oh man, that's a good because we don't really talk about that.
Because most of them don't say anything.
I mean, Dan Orlovsky's my favorite, probably, just to piss Danny Klinkscale off. But no, I really like him a lot.
Maybe I'm thinking more like Game
Network.
Day.
Oh, Game Day.
Yeah.
Bill Cowher.
You know who I like?
Nate
you know
Burleson?
who I think the best is? And maybe I'm wrong. I like him, and I feel like he says things, and when he gets pissed off, I really like him. I like Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's great.
Jimmy Johnson's good.
I think Jimmy Johnson's a stud.
Yeah, I think he's great.
I think when he got pissed off about the Cowboys and what would you tell the Cowboys at halftime? Thought that was one of the best moments of any because let's be honest, a lot of times they don't say nothing.
Well,
And
there's
not
usually
great value. you know?
there's like 7 guys on the
Yeah.
stage, so each guy has like 15 seconds to make a comment, so nobody really says anything.
Yeah,
But I
you
like-
more or less notice them when they're bad.
Yeah.
Like you don't.
But the way I look
Gronk
at
was terrible.
yeah, the way I look at it is like I want to. Oh boy, I can't wait to hear what he says about that first half.
Yeah.
and I feel like Jimmy Johnson. I value his opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just that's how it is.
Well, he says
You
something,
know,
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
let's be honest. Tony Gonzalez comes on, click. I don't want to hear one word. That's just how I feel about Tony Gonzalez. Quit laughing, Jake. I'm so tickled that my proclamation that began 5 years ago that he was the greatest tight end in Chiefs history that Jeff Chadilla laughed at, and I don't know if anyone was too on board with it then. Now it's like, of course he is. Well, you're damn right.
You've never carried a flag more proudly.
That's exactly right, and I wave it as much as I can. But like Jason Kelsey, if that's what he wanted to do, he'd be fabulous.
Right.
He'd be the best. If he wants to be a game analyst, he'd be one of the best. He'd be fantastic. If he just wants to stick to podcasting, he's already one of the best. I just feel like his personality / sense of humor, knowledge of football, willingness to be open and to discuss things, I think he'd be terrific. And honestly, again, why do I have to apologize for this? If someone doesn't like it, so what? Being a fan of the Let's Go podcast, I know people just roll their eyes. Oh, they just put Brady in there to be the number one guy. He will be phenomenal as an analyst. He's phenomenal on that podcast. He was phenomenal during this playoff run, listening to him talk about the Chiefs and his effusive praise of Patrick Mahomes and picking Patrick Mahomes to win every. We sit here and bitch about the people that pick against him. Brady's telling you I wouldn't bet against Mahomes. Well, I like Mahomes here. I like, because he knows. Because he did that. He sees that.
Also,
right?
you know what I respect about him is that he could have been doing the games this year, and he said, "No, wait,
Right.
I'm not going to jump into this. If I'm going to do this, I'm gonna really invest time and energy." And a lot of guys in that role would just be like, "Yeah, okay." Like, I mean,
Right.
That to that fact is like that's Tom Brady to a T. If he's going to do something, he's going to invest himself fully and be the best at it.
Like, he didn't have the big name. I thought Greg Olson was fantastic.
Yeah,
was.
he was.
And he still will be. He just won't be
Right.
doing the number one games.
Wherever he is, he's terrific. And so Jason Kelsey, whatever avenue he wants to take, he'll be fantastic. But just this meteoric rise to prominence from a center. You know what I mean? It's just wild, man. Just think how much he's blown up.
Oh, they had that whole documentary on
Yeah,
him
yeah,
on Prime.
there you go. There's another thing I didn't mention, the documentary.
That was huge.
But we're also focused on. I sound like Scott Purley. We're also focused on the quarterbacks. But I mean, that's quarterbacks. The guys who score touchdowns.
Glamour spots.
Even big name defensive players. A lot of times, offensive linemen are an afterthought. Not in this town. Tim Grenhard's been one of the most visible former Chiefs players ever, and for a
Don't
reason.
be so locked in on the quarterback. We've been talking about it. He's so locked in on this quarterback thing. There's a whole lot of other football players out there.
I've just found it to be really interesting, and I find him to be really interesting, and I find him to be a delightful person. I don't know. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's refreshing to see someone that has reached that level of success, that appears to have his priorities right, and appears to be a great father and husband and a good role model. And, those are, increasingly, I think, more difficult to find. I don't know, genuine. It just feels like, and again,
Yeah.
we haven't sat down and met him or anything like that.
Right.
Been around him briefly, but he just seems like, I don't know.
He's incredibly likable.
Yeah.
He's and maybe because he does play a position that isn't one of the glamour spots, makes him more relatable in some ways. I think that's something. So you were talking about the memory of him from the Super Bowl. I think another one of the big memories in this town was when he and Travis did the podcast live here in town.
Oh, yeah, people went
during
nuts.
the draft, and I was lucky enough to go to that, and seeing them in person even hit differently. I mean, it's just the two of them have a magnetism about them. You want to listen to them. You want to be around them. They're fun,
And it's also how much we love Travis Kelce.
of course, and how much he loves Travis Kelce.
Right.
I think that helps a little
Well, it's
bit
his brother,
sometimes. Yeah, but sometimes brothers are really mean to each other.
Right.
I mean,
Well, I bet they are. Well,
I'm sure they are. They've talked about breaking every furniture
you
piece
see
in their house.
the one where Jason walked off the podcast.
Yeah.
He got so pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
No, I
Oh,
missed
yeah.
that one.
He got so pissed
Oh,
off.
yeah.
He just ended it.
Yeah.
You're talking,
Yeah.
they had to come back the next day and finish it. That
Yeah,
was-
and Travis was like,
He's
"Are
like,
you
"I'm done."
serious? Are you serious?" He just,
he was talking about the
Eagles.
Eagles. And
Yeah.
that they like quit or something. And he,
What was something? And then Jason just takes. He had a cookie. He goes, "Yep,
I'm done.
I'm done.
Done for
Took
today.
it. Took a bit of his cookie and just got up and walked
Yeah,
off."
it was
Travis
unbelievable.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
That was like
It's a big damn
Oh,
deal.
he's super pissed.
Oh, furious! I was like,
Yeah.
like he wanted to blow up, but he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
There's
He
a
just
camera in
put it
front of
down,
me.
took a bite of a cookie,
I'm
and
done.
he's gone.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they were pissed off. It's something with the
I'll
Eagles.
find it. Yeah, it had something to do with. Travis said something about the Eagles, and Jason was like, "That's wrong." And
He didn't like it.
I'm-
He didn't like it at all.
But
Yeah.
also, I think there's something to be said the fact that he's walking out as an All-Pro. He could keep playing if
Oh,
he
yeah.
wanted to, and I think that says something about
Sure.
him recognizing that, like, the intelligence level that he has. Like, I love this more than anything else outside of family and a human being, but this means the most to him that he has in his life, and he's walking away because he knows that he could do damage to him. Like, watching that documentary and watching what he went through, a lot of guys can't step away when they're playing at a high level. Like that.
You know what else a lot of people like, or I think not everyone, but some people like. I mean, dude shows up at his retirement press conference with a cut off T-shirt and flip flops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's in this day and age where we see some of the most bizarre
Oh yeah.
outside the box outfits, and it's very similar to now walking into a football stadium for your game is like a fashion show. T-shirt, jeans, and flip flops. That's the most you're going to get out of him. And he's just like, when so many people are in a rush to impress social media and are so concerned about what other people think, he's like, this is me. There you go. You like it or not.
And I think most people can identify with that.
He's very I mean, it's such a rare thing.
That's what it is. I think he's relatable. Like, you know what? that guy could live on my block.
Right.
Yeah.
And hang out.
And I think that's such a rare thing because usually I feel like if you are, you talk about two guys you could say are the greatest or at least among the greatest to ever do what they do.
Conrad McGorgan just reminded me. Remember Travis talked about the excuse train. They were talking about they making excuses for a loss. He goes, sounds like the excuse train's going choo choo.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
I gotta
Oh, yeah,
find that
man.
clip.
Jason Kelsey got pissed.
Oh, yeah.
It was. I watched that like 20 times in a row. It was
no.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Conrad McGorkin.
Now, brothers know how to push each other's
Whoa.
buttons.
Wow.
That was close.
What?
That
Let me
wasn't
ask you a
close.
question.
That's a SH
Who the
sound.
hell do you think you are
all
with this
excited.
filthy mouth? You act you're
family
you're
program
above
here, buddy.
reproach with
Push.
Mr. MLS, and then you drop something like that.
Push.
You got kids getting ready for school
know.
that right now have to ask their parents, "What did Nate Bukaty mean by that?"
He means they push each other's buttons. But
Conrad McGorkin come up with a Photoshop for that one.
yeah, right. I think that to me, like for those guys, what I can just tell you what I like about him so much. And one of the things you said about we don't know him. I mean, maybe they're just putting up a front, you know. But when you hear other people talk about them and say, no, that's really Jason Kelsey, that kind of validates it in your mind a little bit. But to be that relatable when you're that elite at something, when you're that great at something, usually I feel like a lot of times for someone to become so great at something, they almost have to be unrelatable. They almost have to be like, if you think about like Tiger Woods, hard to relate to Tiger Woods because he's like so focused and driven, and he's just, or like Michael Jordan or even Tom Brady in a lot of ways when he played seemed kind of unrelatable, you know, because they're so consumed with what they're great at. This guy's slamming beers in a parking lot, you know, like it's a crazy balance.
I'm gonna get mad at Jake here in a minute. What does this mean, censored? He said it and nobody beeped it out on the press conference. So you beeped it out when he
I
said?
didn't beep it out.
Or who beeped it out?
ESPN beeped it out.
I don't like that at all. Can I find the real clip? He said it. You know what it is, don't you?
You're talking about
Nick Foles.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
That was my favorite part of the whole.
That's what I
presser.
mean. I was getting ready to tell you. Let's play that before.
That was.
I'm not. Do we have to beat that out?
I don't know.
I don't want to.
Okay.
I mean, we might as well just find out after we play it.
I'll
Well,
find,
that's
I'll find
the-
the full clip. I just that's ESPN beeped it out.
But that was the best. That was the best part.
It was. I gave it a little fist pump. It's like I knew it. I
There.
always believed it.
There, I just sent it to you.
Okay.
So, but also then he teared up. So this is Kelsey talking about when the Eagles won the Super Bowl over the Pats, and they called the play that everyone will remember, the Philly Special. And what a tremendous compliment to both Nick Foles and Doug Peterson. Play this clip, Jake.
I won't forget Nick Foles having the game of his life on the biggest stage possible. And the biggest dick on the team going up to Doug Peterson and asking for the Philly Special. And Doug Peterson having the biggest balls in the stadium. To say, yeah, let's do it.
That's right. There's the speech for you right there. That's awesome.
The whole thing was awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll play some more clips from that. Also, maybe it's wrong to be petty now that the Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowl championships and 3 championships in the last 5 years. But I find myself still being petty. Especially after, if you remember, when the Denver Broncos got a regular season victory over the Chiefs this year. And how many in a row had they lost to the Chiefs? What was it? I lost count. Was it 15? 16? I can't remember.
I thought it was 14.
Was it?
That's what I thought, but
Whatever it was, like I said, I lost count. Jake will add them up. Sean Keeler, who covers the Broncos, wrote a column about how the Broncos broke the Chiefs
16 times.
16.
Yeah, there you go. Thank
Told
you,
you
Nate.
14.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate that. how the Broncos broke the Chiefs and how Broncos, the Broncos organization was proud because they gave, it's so funny how many people have found the blueprint to beat the Chiefs. It's, here it is. We got it. They put out the blueprint now, and the rest of the AFC can thank them for unlocking the riddle that is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. They took quite a victory lap. And Sean Payton, no surprise, is quite full of himself, was, he was right there leading the charge. Well, things didn't go very well after that for the Broncos, and the Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl championship. So my guess is, Sean Keeler, that the Broncos didn't break the Chiefs and didn't show everyone the blueprint. But what they did do is make the worst trade possibly in NFL history. And that's not an exaggeration. There are others that you can nominate, but if you tell me that the Russell Wilson trade is the worst trade in NFL history, I won't argue with you. I'll say, all right, okay, you're correct. When you factor in how much they gave up, how much money they gave him, and what little they got in return as far as on-field success, I mean, what trade can you think of as worse? People always bring up the Herschel Walker trade, but I mean, how is this not worse? The Seahawks traded Russell Wilson and a 2022 fourth-round pick to the Broncos for a 2022 first-round pick, a 22 second-round pick, a 22 fifth-round pick, a 23 first-round pick, a 23 second-round pick, tight end Noah Fant, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, quarterback Drew Lock. Are you hearing the amount of draft picks they gave up?
I mean,
Writing it down.
Are
I
you
can't believe
listening to
yeah,
me?
the only other trade that would even, I think, in my mind, when the Saints gave up their entire draft for Ricky Williams.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, but we're talking about an entire.
Sure, okay, maybe. Yeah, I'll listen.
I don't know. I mean, but I think the fact of what the cap hit that they have to take makes it the worst.
Listen to me. They got a fourth round pick back. 2 firsts.
Yeah.
2 seconds. 2 firsts and 2 seconds. And a fifth. And 3 good players.
And the biggest cap hit in the history of the NFL.
So then you think, okay, all right. That's a terrible, terrible trade.
Bad move.
Then, before Wilson played a game with the Broncos, they signed him to a 5-year extension worth more than $242 million with $161 million guaranteed. That extension would take him through the 28th season. Amazingly, the extension never even kicked in before they released him.
No. Oh my God.
The extension never even kicked in before the Broncos moved on. Wrap your head around that. So now, the cap hit. The Broncos will carry his $35.4 million cap hit into June, then take on dead hits of $35.4 million in 24 and $49.6 million in 2025. Denver, and that's cap. As far as cash, Denver will pay Wilson $39 million minus whatever he earns elsewhere. A $1.21 million minimum is what you're thinking, probably. Wilson can sign elsewhere starting March 13th. By releasing Wilson, the Broncos will take on an NFL record $85 million in dead cap.
It's my quarterback.
It's the largest dead cap hit in league history, and it's bigger than the previous two records combined. If you consider all of those facts, that by far is the worst trade in NFL history.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong, I'll listen.
No.
I mean, I'm trying to jot down all of the things you just said
It's
because
all
unbelievable.
it's almost like, no.
It keeps getting worse.
No way, no. No, you're exaggerating. That's unbelievable. And they got 2 years out of him?
Too bad. I mean, 2 bad years.
They had,
Well, last year wasn't bad.
Yes.
No, look at his numbers. They weren't bad.
Okay, but I'm
He
talking
got
about
benched before the year was over.
Come on.
for them, but
They benched him so they didn't have to pay
what was
him
the
a-
record?
The team was. I mean,
Yeah, that's all I care about.
right. No,
know.
look. If we're gonna say bad, he was not bad last year. I'm just being fair.
They didn't
They
get in the postseason.
It wasn't a good year.
No, the team was bad. I'm talking about like
He wasn't that good, man. I watched him play. His numbers are fine. He wasn't that good. He in my opinion.
We can debate what he was, but the reason you make that move is to get into the postseason.
Absolutely.
They did not get into the postseason. That's a disaster.
Utter.
The only way that move, I don't care what his stats are. I don't care if his stats suck or he has Pro Bowl stats. The only answer that makes sense, the only way that trade makes sense is if they get into the postseason and they win. Not just get in the postseason. You almost have to get to the Super Bowl to justify this. And they didn't sniff the playoffs. They sniffed their own asses. Worst trade in NFL history. But go on and believe that, Sean Payton and Denver, they're going to figure it out now. Now they're going to figure it out. Okay, sure they are. Right. That's right. All the faith in the world in them. Back into this on WHP. I have other things planned on the show. Like, I don't know, you ever heard of the Sunflower Showdown that takes place tonight?
Sunflower Showdown.
Kansas State at Kansas in basketball. Nate's got a big bet with Shane Summers again.
All right, the Sunflower Showdown.
But I can't move on with the show because I'm confused. Was Russell Wilson good last year or not? I can't. Can you guys figure this out?
He was not good. Sorry, he wasn't good.
I've got one guy saying he was not good, and I got another guy saying he was good. Can we find some common ground here? What the hell's going on? Jake?
I mean, he was average to above average. I'm not going to say he was bad. I mean, look at like bad quarterbacks in this league. He was not bad.
Nate said he was not good.
Like Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders, he was bad. Zach Wilson for the Jets, bad. Bryce Young for the Carolina Panthers, bad. Kenny Pickett for the Steelers, bad.
Why are all these guys
I'm just talking
thrown
like,
under the bus now?
These are bad quarterbacks. These are bad quarterbacks. Josh Dobbs started many games for the Vikings, bad. I mean.
So Jake told me to check the statistics.
Yeah, check the stats, buddy.
So he was 12th in completion percentage. Hey, that's top half. 25th in yards per game. 21st in QBR. 23rd in yards per attempt. That's bad to me. Those are bad. Those are some of the most important numbers.
Jake says you're cherry picking.
28 TDs. How many interceptions?
Yeah, he had a decent touchdown interception ratio. He did have that.
What was it?
It was like 20. Let me see here. I have to scroll all the way down to where his name is on this list again because he's behind so
That's
many.
descriptive.
26 and 8. Is that right?
26. Yep, 26 and 8. Yeah. So
How many yards did he throw for?
3,000 some, 3,070. But
What did he run for? That's a factor. Can't ignore that.
He is not the runner. He's not anywhere near the runner he used to be.
But I still
he
wanna know.
averaged 204.7 yards per game. That, like I said, is 25th.
He also had a coach who was so anti him. Like who was they didn't bench him because of his play.
Choo
right?
choo! It sounds like that excuse trade's
I'm
rolling
not
in.
making excuses.
My coach didn't like me.
Okay.
How about the coach he had the year before? That coach liked him, I think.
He was
He got
bad the year
fired.
before. He was bad. I'm just saying he was not bad. He was average. He was an average quarterback last year.
I guess if we're judging
We're judging based on starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
so
we're
to me,
based
if you're
on.
bottom third in some of the most important statistical categories,
that
you're
you
bad.
picked, that you picked.
I think that they're very important. I think yards per game says a lot. I think yards per attempt says a whole lot. Stan Weber says he thinks that's usually the most important stat, I
You're
believe.
bringing Stan Weber into this.
Yeah, we'll ask Stan what he thought of Russell Wilson on Friday. See, was he a bad quarterback last year, Stan? I'm. You have me defending a guy I don't like.
I mean, sounds like you're a big fan right now.
I'm not.
He ran for 341 and 3 touchdowns. You got to mention that.
He wasn't bad.
That's great.
But I mean, I asked you about it, and you wouldn't even answer me.
Well, I haven't looked it up yet.
He got benched because they didn't want him hitting incentives, so they didn't have to pay him.
But what was the record when they benched?
They were in the playoff contentions. They were in contention for a playoff spot when they benched him.
Right.
Right.
But were they
Right.
going to make the playoffs?
I don't know.
They weren't.
Okay. Well, they didn't, and they benched him. So that's something you can't quantify. It's impossible to.
What was
find
the
that out.
record when they benched? It was
Like,
below 500, right?
I think they were right around 500. I think they were like
When did they bench him?
like 14 games in or something like that. I'll find out. But
he played 15 games.
They were
according to the
7
stats.
and 6 after week 14.
They were in playoff contention. They were in the hunt.
I do remember that. That is crazy.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
like he had his team in contentions for a playoff spot, and they benched him.
Yeah, that's wild.
It is wild.
But he was a below average quarterback.
Okay. You said bad. Now you're like
That's bad for me.
I'm moving.
And
you
I
up.
do factor in how much he's getting paid and how much he gave up for him. That does matter. I don't expect Josh Dobbs to perform at the same level as the guy that you gave up 5 picks for and are paying that kind of money.
Hey, I'm not saying that he justified what he was giving up for and what he was getting paid. That's not the argument we're talking about.
But I'm saying, like,
the argument you said he was a bad quarterback last year, and I said he wasn't bad. I said he. he was middle of the road, and he had his team in playoff contention. That's not bad.
He was mediocre to bad. He was somewhere in that that
At least
realm.
I'm getting you to move off that comment. So when I
Was he
win.
good?
I didn't say that. I said,
Oh, you said he was good. at
I
the
said he
beginning.
was
Okay.
average.
All right.
I said he had his team. He had his team in the hunt for the playoffs with the last 3 to 4 weeks left in the season. His numbers were not bad. He was not bad.
A lot of these numbers are bad.
That's not what I'm saying.
A lot of these numbers are bad. 25th is yards per game is bad. 21st QBR bad.
He also didn't get started a
23rd
full
yards
season.
per attempt bad.
He also didn't get
That's why I
started.
tried to go with stats that were not counting stats that were average stats.
Okay,
there.
so for you take the salary part out of it now because you can get him for nothing. You don't have to trade anything for him, and you could pay him a bottom of the barrel salary because the Broncos would be footing the bill. Would you want him?
Not really. I mean, if you're completely desperate for a quarterback,
Now, see if you're Pittsburgh, you should want him because what they've put out at quarterback is god awful.
yeah,
Go look at their numbers, and
it's
you
bad.
can't.
I would rather have Kirk Cousins.
Well, then you'll pay
Yeah.
$40 million
Yeah.
Yep.
for that versus $1 million.
Yeah, maybe if you can get him for nothing.
Well,
And
you
you're in a
you
place-
can.
You are.
can.
That's
You're
what
going to
gonna
pay.
get him for.
You're going to pay him.
But I do
very
think you
little.
have to factor in what he does to a locker room too.
I don't know. What is Kenny Pickett refusing to complete passes do to a
Yeah,
locker
I mean,
room?
right. If there's a locker room where you feel like they could make it work, it'd probably be. It's hard for me to picture Russell Wilson playing for Mike Tomlin, but maybe after everything he's been through, he could do it now.
Right.
Maybe he's been humbled enough that he could take Mike Tomlin's coaching. But it's hard for me to picture that. That doesn't seem like a perfect fit, does it, from a personality standpoint?
I don't know. Maybe that's what he needs, though.
Yeah,
He
right.
needs a strong head coach that owns the locker room.
I think Atlanta probably would have liked him, over Desmond Ridder last year.
Well, yeah, you're talking about teams with that. Those are god awful quarterback situations. So yes,
Those are bad quarterbacks.
Probably. Yes, there are much worse situations out there. We will, but it be interested to see who wants him. I think you're going to have all these teams vying for Cousins and Baker Mayfield, and then maybe Justin Fields, and then there's going to be a team that loses the musical chairs and ends up, well, now what? Okay, hey, Russell Wilson, we don't have to pay him nothing, and then who knows? Because that does mean something,
Sure.
We'll take a break. Back after this on WHB. Hey, Stephen St. John here to tell you about Welcome back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Hey, Nate, what's going to happen in the Sunflower Showdown tonight? Huh?
I don't know. I hope Kansas wins by at least 6.
All right, the Sunflower Showdown.
I'm tired of losing these bets. And I don't understand why I have to take points here.
Because it's at Allen Fieldhouse, 5 on 8.
I've never given any. Yeah, but I've never gotten any points from Summers on anything.
Because it's, we're just looking at Vegas. Vegas is our guide. What's the line, Jake?
They usually don't come out till day. Oh, they should be out
Really?
this morning.
Today is day of.
Hey, well, let's just wait till the day of the game and I'll ask you.
Oh, let's see.
Kansas by 10.5 according to ESPN.
Well, looks like you're getting a deal.
I still think it's a little.
6 isn't enough.
I'll give 6. I'm giving 6. We
I know
agreed to that
you
yesterday.
should jump. I saw yesterday. Like, what are you complaining about?
Well, I don't
6 is
think I
a
should have to give
bargain.
any points, but
Well, that's
fine.
ridiculous.
I hope Kansas wins by at least 6. I don't know, man. I don't know what to expect from.
You don't seem confident.
Well, this is the worst Kansas team, at least from a record standpoint, in the entire Bill Self era.
And they still might be a 3 seed.
Isn't
They all
that wild to say? They're still ranked to the top 15 in the country, by the way. That's insane.
Maybe with some milk.
That's insane.
I'll take some milk.
Oh, would you?
Raw.
I don't think you drink milk.
I drink raw milk.
Do you?
Yeah. Straight from the cow teat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From
But-
a while there, he said that humans should never drink something
know.
that comes
Like
from
goat's
another
milk.
animal like that.
Well, look.
What about
I'm-
goat's milk?
goat's milk's great.
Okay.
It's all about the source, right? Where's it coming from?
Mine comes from a wonderful carton.
Well, that's not where mine does. Not.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
I could.
You seem to be concerned about this game.
Well, I don't know what to expect from Kansas. So,
Wow.
I think I would expect that they would win. They're at home. It's 5 on 8, like you said. Fieldhouse magic. But I'll tell you one thing: if you're Kansas, you don't want it to go to overtime, right?
Yeah.
K-State, they do not lose in overtime. So
12-0 under Jerome Tang.
It
unbelievable.
would be nice to rip that streak from them, though. Not saying I'm hoping for overtime. but-
Right.
Sounds like that's exactly what you're saying.
Well, I mean, that'd be fun.
This is and this is today's senior day, right? Is it
Correct. That is correct.
And that's
Does Jerome Tang have a winning record against KU?
I don't know. I don't know. Were they 2-1 against KU in his time?
No, do your homework.
I feel like you know the answer to
I
that.
don't know. I asked
They
a
are.
question.
They're too.
Smart
Your
ass.
questions are always a little
Damn.
agenda based.
Bite my head off for asking a simple question.
Does he have a winning record? All right, so I'm trying to see who the seniors are. Parker Brown.
That's weird that you have to look and see who the seniors
Well,
are.
it's
now.
like, and
I
like,
know,
does it feel like Parker Brown's a senior? He
No.
has, Hunter Dickinson, and isn't he eligible to come back
Yeah,
another year?
He does have another year.
Was it? Did he live up to the massive expectations?
I mean, from a statistical standpoint, I think you would say he's been what he's supposed
Just
to be.
imagine this team without him.
Yeah, that's a
mean-
good point. Yeah, that's a real good point.
Tell me what you think of this. Kellis Robinette tweeted this out yesterday.
I like Kellis.
Jerome Tang said Kansas State treated its last game against Cincinnati like an NCAA tournament game. He is raising the bar for the KU game. The Wildcats are treating the Sunflower Showdown like a Sweet 16 game.
All right, the Sunflower Showdown.
And I'm not being a smart ass, but like, what do you think? What does that mean?
I don't know, because they'd be knocked out of the tournament then. I mean, if he treated it, they wouldn't be playing.
Jesus.
I mean, right? If you treat it like an NCAA tournament, they're out.
Yes, they lost at Cincinnati.
Okay, so they're out.
But what I'm asking is, what do you think that means? Like, what does that mean to you? What like?
Ramping up the intensity? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't tweet it.
I didn't either, so I don't know what it means. I guess it's a bigger game. It's a bigger game than the tournament game. I'm still just looking at this roster like, boy,
Nate-
senior day has always been such a big deal at Kansas, but is it anymore?
Don't ask me. It's never been really a big day for me. When's the last time K-State won at KU? Name the year now.
I'm going to say.
Say the year now.
It was Jim Woldridge.
Don't think about it. Say the year.
2008.
No.
No, of course it wouldn't be 2008.
2005.
I was
No.
there with Swartz, I think.
Did they win under Frank Martin once there?
I don't think so.
Kellis Robinette again, my source. His tweet, as Kansas State clings to NCAA tournament hopes, Jerome Tang says the biggest game of the season is coming up next at Kansas. The Wildcats may need to win in Lawrence for the first time since 2006
Oh, it's close.
to make the big dance.
DeJuan Harris being a senior, that's a big deal. He's been there.
Wow.
He's done a lot of big things. That's obviously huge. Can he come back next year?
That's been your guy.
Love
and
the guy.
it took you 2 minutes to figure out that this is.
I was just
this
looking
is
through the
big
roster,
night.
and he was.
Damn.
2006 was Woolley, right?
Let me tell you something, man.
Yeah, I was at that game. Remember that?
Exception of the very
yeah.
cream de
I think he
cream
had a
teams,
neck
you
brace
know,
in
there's
that
probably
game.
going to be a
This
wide
is
range of
Covering
things
it with Aaron
happening.
Swartz.
This is what have you done for me lately right here, Nate Bukaty. You couldn't get nobody sang the praises of DeJuan Harris more than him. And now on this fine day, had no idea that he's a senior, and he's going to be honored tonight.
Well, it's hard to
Unbelievable.
remember who's a senior and not because you can be a senior for like 3
That's
years
fine.
now. I don't know.
I get it.
The COVID year.
Yeah.
You got 8 years now.
Well, I should have like 15 years of eligibility.
Right.
Well, I
We
still got
will
one left.
We'll be right back after this on WHB.